Hello, friends, and welcome back to the show. We're here from Live Reality Games to cover Survivor Season 41. We are back, and this week we have our friends from Melbourne, Vince, Josh, and Liz. Welcome back to the podcast, guys.
Hi.
Hi, it's been a hot minute.
It's been a whole 2 weeks, it feels like.
Yeah, so if you watched, you just saw Vince and Josh covering all of Survivor SA. We are the presidents and vice presidents of the Stantoni fan club. And I might suggest that some of you might want to join the bandwagon and jump on the Stantel fan club because I am the president of the Stantels now moving forward. But we also have Liz. It's great to see you, Liz. You're engaged now. Congratulations.
Cheers.
Cheers, absolutely. And we're going to break down everything that just happened. So if you did not watch Survivor Season 41, get onto Paramount Plus or CBS, or whatever you use to watch it. You can watch Big Brother, but we all know how that's going to end anyways if you've been watching the season. So you can check that out later and come right back here because we're going to break down everything. So where we left off, I mean, let's get your initial takes. You guys saw the first episode. Vince, what is your take? American Survivor is back after COVID, and do you think it's back with a vengeance, or what's your take on it?
I really like this season's plan out. I'm not really like a twist person, but I think what they did this season is really great. It's a lot of inject a lot of new sort of twists and creativity into it. So I really love it, and the characters are well done and well done casting.
I totally agree. Liz, do you have similar sentiment?
Yeah. I don't know about coming back with a vengeance, but like it's coming back good. Like I feel like we're going back to a little bit. There's a little hint of old school Survivor in there, and I love it.
Josh, speaking of the old school Survivor, this is also reminding me of Australian Survivor, where we get these B-roll edits of the players. And I am such a fan. This is what brought me to International Survivor. And like I said on your show, like I feel like Australian Survivor and South African Survivor is the future of the franchise. I love the B-roll edits.
Yeah, getting the backstories of the players, because we didn't get that, like in Winners of War, you get that. But previous seasons before that, you didn't get as much like backstory, and you didn't actually get to know the characters. So getting to know them's been a lot better. I, for one, love twists, but I don't know. I love how I'm the different one here, even though like there's so many twists and so many different things. I'm not a fan of this dice thing.
Oh,
I'm
me
not
neither.
a fan of it.
That's not you at all, Josh. You like this
I know.
like the underdog get like a chance to save themselves, that kind of jazz.
Yeah, I love players being able to be saved from like being a first boot. But I love that idea because it just adds like if you look at South Africa, Santoni was like an easy first boot, right? And look where she ended up, just from a twist. I don't know. I'm just not a fan of like a 1 in 6 chance. Like why that number?
And this is a good question because I mean, I have a question about the advantage. If the first person takes out a piece of paper, they play their dice, and let's say they get a blank piece of paper. Does this mean the second person has a 1 in 5 chance to get immunity?
Yes.
Yeah, as far as I know. But also, like, why is there not other things on the other parchments? Like, you've lost your vote for the next tribal council. Like, have a risk element to it as well if they want to have more stuff into it. Or like, you can actually vote this tribal council now. I don't know, something like that.
Or my favorite sentence from this entire episode, return to your seat, period.
I have a favorite sentence from this episode. I actually wrote it down. Evie said, Evie?
Evie, I think.
Not like the Pokemon Eevee, like Evie.
Oh, good note.
Yeah. They said you cannot you cannot be scared of making people mad in Survivor. I love that line. I love that.
Yeah,
line.
I agree. You can always do damage control, right?
I've heard on Survivor. It's great.
That's so true. And I mean, Evie's coming from the tribe where they just unanimously voted out Abraham. And so they're kind of in a good spot. Tiffany received 1 vote, and we're kind of going to see how that plays out in this episode. But just to spoil it again, if there's spoilers here, folks, so you got to leave right now if you don't want them. But we see Ua. Is it Ua? No, it's Yasa.
Yeah.
Yasa, yellow. Ua is the tribe, but Yasa is the one that goes to tribal council. And we're going to see in this episode, Vochi eliminated. I got to say, I was a little surprised. This reminds me more of a South African edit where we get so much and then they show us exactly what we didn't know at the end at tribal council. We get surprised, which I personally love. I have friends here in the States that don't like this type of edit, but I'm actually kind of a fan. I like being left in the dark and getting surprised at the end of the episode. I didn't expect Vochi to go home.
Oh yeah.
No, yeah.
I wanted him to go home and I didn't even dare like hope for it. Like
the fact we get this edit, I love being blindsided as a viewer. It makes you feel what the player that gets voted out is feeling. Like it puts you in their sort of shoes. That's great.
I think this in this case is better because we sort of get the behind the scenes of like David's like strategy and his personality and stuff. But I wouldn't recommend if it's gonna be like, you know, you purple that person and then for a purpose of blindside.
Yes. Which is what Australian Survivor does, right? Much prefer this.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get a lot of. I mean, there's such a give and take, right? Because we get all of the character development that we want in Australian Survivor. Like it feeds our soul. We understand the characters, we understand the motivations, and sometimes we're just left in the dark here. But one of the things I'm left in the dark, I just did not catch this, Josh. The episode is called "Juggling Chainsaws."
Hey,
what was the? I'm confused.
Xander, I think, said it.
I think it was in Xander's, you shouldn't be juggling chainsaws when butterflies are around, or it was something.
No,
that
it wasn't.
Wasn't that his line or something?
No, it was just like an analogy for what he was saying for like dealing with the advantage and stuff, I think.
Oh, okay. This totally makes sense then. Because I thought that's funny that it was about Xander, because I thought the better title for the episode was Return to Your Seat, period. And it was Xander who received that at Tribal Council. So for those of you that are following along, Xander found the Beware advantage that we saw Jeff Probst hide in episode 1. And for future players, if it says Beware, don't fucking touch it. This is a bad idea, in my opinion. Vince, do you want to break down how this advantage works?
If I'm not mistaken, so you basically got a idol, but it doesn't work until all three tribes found the idol, and then they have to signal each other with a certain phrase. So if everyone said the phrase, then the idol works. But until then, you can't vote. So you're basically useless in tribal council, and you're not safe.
I have a big question about this, Josh. So let's say 2 out of the 3 people find it. Let's say Xander gets voted out, so he can no longer say his purple butterflies phrase, or whatever code word it is. Does this mean the other person who took the Beware advantage will literally get no votes till whenever?
I'm assuming this all fizzles out at merge because there's no longer 3 camps, so I don't think it could be found. That would be my guess, but it makes sense for that to happen.
The swap could make this way easier, right?
Yeah. Could you imagine finding all 3 if they swap twice? And you have to say all 3 sentences in a row or something? Like, it'd be so bizarre.
Did anyone catch what the note... Did the note say all 3 of the phrases? Did any of you catch what the 3 phrases are?
There's one about broccoli being small trees.
Oh, broccoli being small trees, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't people just say that normally, though? Like, that's not a weird thing to say.
In Australia, it's a thing.
I think it's an odd thing to say in the challenge, though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, true. It's not really
You've got to, like,
anything
wrap it
in your broccoli.
You've got to wrap it into an analogy of like,
Yeah.
our tribe is broccoli, but we're all little trees just growing inside of it or something. You've got to sort of like wrap it into an analogy for it to work.
But can you change a little bit phrase? Like you contain the whole phrase, or you have to say exact things on the parchment, or you can just...
I reckon it'd be exact. I reckon they would be very strict about that. Yeah.
Because I remember specifically Xander saying something about dead relatives are butterflies are his dead relatives.
Oh yeah.
Everyone
that was
was
one of
getting
the phrases, right?
I was so confused, and then Dustin filled me. I have terrible eyes, so I clearly did not read the message well. And Dustin's like, "No, it's the code word." And I was like, "Oh, I thought Xander was going crazy for a second. I was like, what's happening here?"
I think like, Xander is going crazy regardless.
Like I was worried he was having a stroke. I'm like, this makes no sense here. Like this. Yes, Grace. Grayson thinks it's a much better episode than the first one. Okay, cool. Yeah, for sure.
I think it gets to the point, I guess. Like the first episode took 2 hours and it was a double tribal right at the end. Like it was great that everyone got screen time and we got to know everyone. But yeah, I like how this episode got to the point. Essentially.
Can I just add in a point with the phrase? So maybe next season they can do like an action or like yodeling, like yodeling, and the other person to go like moo.
Yes.
It would be fun. It's to make it fun.
Yes.
This reminds me of Survival Challenge this past year in Illinois, an LRG that happened where they made an idol called the Adam Klein idol, and it was simple on the podium, and a player tried to play it, and it was not playable. But then another player went up to it and touched it and said, "Fire is life," and it activated the idol. And I was like, I was there, and I was like, what?
That's so good.
You activated it. I said this last week. I feel like Jeff Probst and Kerhofer and all the team watched some live reality games from around the world this past year. Because this twist of the summit, we've seen at Melbourne. I swear I've watched this at Melbourne, Liz. Like isn't it like somebody got the idol at the summit? Like,
hey, we stole that from New Zealand Survivor, so
okay, it's fair.
Washing our hands of that.
We just saw summits at Survivor British Columbia as well, so this seems to be like the new take on Exile. Like, instead of just going there and getting a freebie, let's have you talk about it and make a decision. I don't know, Vince. I kind of like this better than a freebie at Exile. Or I almost like it better than Immunity Island.
I definitely like it than those like Ghost Island. You have to play a game and then wager your stuff, or like even in the Immunity Island that we saw in South Africa. Like this creates more sort of interaction between tribes and form different relationships. So when come to merge, it's the tribal lines will be muddy a little bit.
We had we had a chat log going when we were watching because we had to watch by internet, and Vince said a comment saying like, this is a better option than a tribe swap because there's integration between tribes and they can talk and discuss and strategize, so it stops pagonging. I actually agree with that. To get rid of tribe swaps, you could actually have like some type of place where people can meet constantly and, discuss everything. And yeah,
I think that's a great idea because we've seen tribe swaps so often. This is just a nice new way to keep the players on their toes. At the start of the episode, some of the interesting things we saw were Nasir's B-roll. We saw his life before Survivor. That really, I don't know. It opened me up to Nasir, Liz. Like it really, really kind of welcomed me because in the first episode, I was just thinking he's kind of a snitch. He's like a Sandra Diaz Twine, right? He's gonna hide in the woods, look at what you're doing, and then he's gonna go run and tell everybody else.
Yeah, no, I'm keen. I just love how they're showing everyone's like stories. Like even is it Vochi? Is that how you say his name?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Like I love how they showed that. Like his story had some kind of resolution, you know?
By the way, how did they get to Vochi? Did they ever explain like why he was Vochi and not David?
Well, it was explained like, I mean, it was talked about as an option earlier, but it just never seemed to like be a thing. Like, Tiff was bringing it up, right? Because she was paranoid that like an idol gets played and she goes, even though they knew that it couldn't be activated or something. So it seems like they just went with that.
Dustin wants to go in a different direction right now and talk about Melbourne Survivor 3.
Yeah, of course.
Of course he does. Dustin's our resident like expert on LRGs. He watches more LRG than actual reality television, so he's always sucking that up. You know, Tiffany, we can talk about a little bit more. She kind of had a tough episode. I mean, Tiffany, right from the start, she was struggling with food. She literally called it hell that she was living through, and then she was really struggling in the challenge. I was worried for Tiffany for a while there, Josh.
Yeah, I have notes. Let me get to these. Essentially, well, Vince said I think it was Vince. He's like, this looks like it's in slow motion when she's going over the little balance beam. Yeah,
Oh, they actually did put it in slow motion, didn't they?
Yeah,
no,
they did.
I think it was normal speed.
No, they did. They made it all like.
They did.
It was
Yeah.
slow motion, okay, because it looked like
Yeah.
normal speed. It looked like she was going very, very slow over this beam. But yeah, she seemed really abrasive going back to camp. To me, anyway, like as a viewer, she sort of seemed abrasive. She's like, "No, we have to go this way because this could happen." And she was trying to get herself, like, I guess, guaranteed to stay, which makes sense. But if you've got two people there and they're saying we're going to help you, I would sort of be like, cool, no worries. I wouldn't try and push my narrative because I think coming up, I reckon she's going to push one too many buttons and they'll be like, I'm done with her. And I get that feeling that could happen next.
I feel like her only real problem was that like she didn't understand what was happening, which like I would be the same. But like I think she was trying to operate without understanding it, and she probably needed to like understand it to be on the same page as her allies.
Yeah.
I also think that because she hasn't seen the note itself, so she maybe has a thing like whether I can trust Evie or did Evie sort of because I don't think Evie's told her that she actually saw the whole notes and stuff. So she
did at some point.
Yeah, it sort of doesn't operate from there. But for me, I think it does make sense to vote Voce out.
Yeah,
because Xander has no vote now, so he's technically useless. So Vote has more power than Xander at the moment, unless the other tribes found two idols, and suddenly Xander has like all these fancy stuff. But at this stage,
yeah, we're kind of jumping ahead of ourselves, and I was doing that too. So let's head back because we're going to get there. But I want to get to this place where Xander has no vote and finds this Beware idol and then takes it. The episode actually starts on Ua, the Green tribe that had just voted out. Oh, who did they just vote out? Sarah.
Abraham.
Sarah, yeah.
Sarah. Yeah. And Brad was in on this plan. And out of nowhere, Brad seems like he's on the outs. So then we have Ricard and we have JD going to talk. And these are the two in the first episode that we think might have something against each other. Like they're looking at each other. Well, they're going to go talk and probably try to figure out where these votes landed because everyone's going to try to figure out where this Ricard vote came from, which came from Jeannie of all people, or Jenny, however you say it. And Brad is so nervous that he runs the other way out of camp. Then he pulls an actual Sandra Diaz Twine, hides in the woods, listens to them. And can this series be more focused on pronouns? Because Brad is then obsessed because he hears he, and he's the only he they could be talking about, because of course they wouldn't say he about each other, which makes sense. So he's super concerned. He runs back and then he spills the beans to Stantel, and Stantel spills the beans to everyone else like she does. I don't know how I felt about Brad's gameplay here, Liz. I was a little bit.
Honestly, like, I laugh every time that Brad is on screen, purely because he reminds me of our dear friend Keegan. Just in mannerisms, not in gameplay at all. Just want to clear that up. But yeah, so whenever he does anything, I just crack up. Yeah. So no, I think he's playing pretty badly, but it's hilarious and I love it.
And it was weird because Jeannie voted not with the majority. Jeannie was the only one who voted for Ricard. And I felt like there was zero conversation about this.
Yeah, I remember hearing something about her. I think. What was it?
I can jump in because I read about that because someone I actually on Reddit, and then I saw someone who was on the viewing party with Ricard, and so Ricard basically saying Ginny voted for Ricard because when they do the whispering, Ginny not accidentally, but she maybe mistaken heard like Ricard's name. That's why she put his name down. So this is from what I heard, but I'm not sure whether it's 100% true, but this is what I found out.
Wow, so the future of Survivor has turned into live tribals that get people to vote incorrectly, even though they were in majority right before it. That's crazy. Also, for you Redditors out there, Dustin told me that you guys are voting that Evie is Sophie. And I disagree. To all of you Redditors out there that end up watching this, you can complain all you want, but I think Evie is a Cochrane if she is a Survivor winner, because Evie does not come across to me as kind of like there was times Sophie was kind of spoiled to me, like when she was like ordering what's his name around to like do things for her. I don't know if spoiled's the best word for it, but I think she's more of a Cochrane. I think she's a little bit more nerdy and savvy than kind of spoiled brat. No, I love you, Sophie.
Sophie in Winners at War, though.
Oh. Okay, fair.
Yeah. Sophie has like two different archetypes, and they're very polar opposite.
Yeah. That's why I like when young people go on and then when they return back as an older player, you can definitely see the character development as well.
Yeah,
that's true. That makes sense. Yeah, and you could say that with Cochrane too. He's kind of different in both. I would say she's more acting like Cochrane 2.0 than Cochrane 1.0 so far.
Sure, yeah.
So that makes total sense. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of a breakdown of what's going down. We can't really see the tribal lines of UA in this episode. But Vince, who's running the show here on UA?
Stantel. Is it? Yeah, the Green Tribe. Yes. Stantel is like in sort of a middle position, so you can tell in the first episode she was mingling with the Ginny and Brad, and then she was with JD, and then she's with Ricard. So she's basically insulated from any sort of being voted off at the moment.
Yeah, I feel like she's going to be the only one that's not going to be targeted out of that whole tribe. Like everyone has a reason to be targeted besides Stantel. I want to see the relations within Luvu. We never really see anything there, obviously because they've won both challenges. But I actually want to see how everything will go down, because like in the first episode, we see Nasir see the two boys look for idols throughout their challenge, but then the girls tell the two boys about that. So yeah, it's a bit different, because also on this episode, there's multiple confessionals of them saying without Nasir would be screwed because he created the fire. Did he make it with no flint? It looked like he did.
Oh, this is a question I have, Josh, too, because we see Deshaun trying to make fire, and it almost seems to me with American Survivor the way it's been, I feel like whenever they're making fire, they're foreshadowing the final four. And I was like really looking into this, like, oh, like why are they folks so hyper focused on Deshaun making fire, and then he doesn't make fire, and then Nasir, they don't even show him attempting to make fire. Suddenly he brings out like a coconut leaf or whatever, like he's like fire. He comes out like
fire, here it is,
like Survivor guy. He's like, here.
Yeah.
Like, wait, how did you make fire? And then Sydney says, we want to learn as much about him as possible so we can boot him. And this is coming from the girl who has too much flatulence, as she self-proclaimed in her episode or her interview. I was like, oh my gosh. Like, it just seems so like brutal right off the start. Like, we want to learn everything about you just to get rid of you. I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that.
It's sort of, yeah, you're right with the foreshadowing thing about like Deshaun not being able to make fire. Is that what we're going to see at the final four? Like,
I have to interject that maybe fire is such an important storyline because, you know, taking away from the flint and stuff. So maybe they're going to show it a little bit more to emphasize how like the flint plays an important part and how fire making plays an important part in this whole journey.
Yeah, because we haven't seen Yase make any fire yet, have we?
No.
So that yellow tribe hasn't had fire for nearly 6 days now. That's
Maybe they did, but they're not going to show it. But they did have flint when they did the challenge.
Did they get flint? No, they didn't get any flint.
No, when they did the sweat challenge, they earned the flint.
Oh, that's right.
They give it back when they lose the challenge.
But then Jeff took the flint from Yasa and Ua, and so they still don't have flint?
I presume so.
Okay, Jeff, I know you're never going to watch this, but like if you, like we've played live games where sometimes we still have like luxuries like sleeping bags or different things and like still not having fire. I can't imagine sleeping through a night without a fire rolling in a tent, in a sleeping bag, that seems worse than any season of Survivor.
These guys did it, sort of.
Tell us about it, Vince.
on Galata?
Yeah.
When you guys put your sleeping bags out in like a...
Worst decision ever. We want something comfortable to sleep on, so we decided to... We all had a sleeping bag each, so we all decided to lay them flat on the ground and then put the sleeping bags over top of us as like a big blanket. Worst decision of all time. It makes no sense when you think about
Nick were just like in the dirt, like no sleeping bag at all.
It was so bad. Don't suggest it. Do not do that.
No. Stay warm. Keep the sleeping bag for yourself.
We were lucky it was like during like the start of our autumn or fall.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's still cold.
After summer.
We can't deny it's still cold. It's like probably like
fire.
maybe like 5 degrees or 6, 7-ish around that. I mean Celsius, not Fahrenheit.
Which would be about I think like 40, 42 degrees.
Oh wow.
That's freezing. That's terrible.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's Survivor for you right there, folks.
Yep. Go hard or go home.
I would do it again. I would do it in a heartbeat.
Oh yeah, I'll do it. You ask me to do it now, I'll do it. For sure.
So right after this happens, we get a glimpse of Yasa tribe, and we have 2 players who are all by themselves. We have Xander and Liana, and the rest of everybody is off on their own. And I say the rest of everybody, which is only 3 people. This is not a ton of people. This is not something like extravagant. It's practically half of your tribe. But Xander is worried. Even though He has +1 vote, people. So just with Liana, if that was the case, he still can tie this thing if they go to tribal. So he's worried. So he tells the camera in the confessional he's got to look for this idol, right? And so we talked about this beware advantage. Xander ends up finding it. And again, 3 people have to say things at the same time at an immunity challenge for this idol to exist. Then he directly goes and tells Evie and Vochi. Liz, I just thought it was a terrible move to tell them.
Really? See, I didn't have much reaction to that. Yeah. I mean, yeah, in hindsight, it was a pretty terrible move. But like,
I don't know. It's
you
like
tell your allies things, you know?
I
Can
think
I-
if you keep a secret like that, you're not gonna keep an ally because you haven't got a vote.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because
Like,
everyone would know you can't vote, basically, if they really
Yeah.
vote. So yeah.
because it's affecting the alliance, I think you
Mhm.
have to tell them. But if it was just a like you can get an idol, but you have to say this phrase with 3 other people and they all activate, that's fine. But because it's affecting their tribal cancel outcome, I think you sort of have to tell them.
But you don't like you seem to tell them like before they even lost the challenge, right?
Yeah.
mhm.
So like
the
I
good
think
thing
you
is-
hold off telling them until you have to.
You know the good thing about this though, the fact that he doesn't have a vote, he can play his dice with no compromise.
No, I don't think that works because there's always a punishment for playing a shot in the dark because then it wouldn't make sense, right? What's the
Yeah,
punishment?
but like where do rules draw the line though? Like, and that's the thing. Like, where does that go to? Is that like a never ending like sort of like black hole moment where everything just keeps going in and around itself? Like, where does it?
I'm so confused about the whole dice thing. Like, I wasn't paying attention properly the first time, and
Because like
I
he
think
could go into the next
completely in
trouble
the dark.
cancel saying he played his shot in the dark die, and he could get away with like not having a vote, for
Right.
at least one trouble cancel. But
I think
because
I
people
think
know
you
now, it's pointless.
I think you should see it as like you have to give up something to earn the shot in the dark. So like you can't just say I don't have anything to give, so I can play it without any sort of like consequence. So you have to give
Yeah.
up something. So your vote is basically your chance to play shot in the dark. So
I wonder
think
if on
it
the parchment he
Mm.
got, if it actually says what will happen.
Yeah.
Because if there's
Ooh.
nothing saying it, if there's nothing saying that rule, then technically I guess he could play it and it would be within the rules because it's not like an afterthought question to ask. If it's not written, then it should be allowed.
But is it written somewhere? Because it's just Jeff and
Well, the shot in the
announcing it.
dark die was not written anywhere.
Yeah.
But
Maybe in the
on his idle parchment, there should be a rule.
It's right because it creates an infinite loop in some ways, or not an infinite loop, but it kind of like begs the question, like, can you use that advantage if you don't have the vote in the first place? That's really interesting. And I think something that I don't know if the players are thinking about yet, but the tribes are small to start with this season. So a shot in the dark at 17-ish% chance is a shot. But I feel like this advantage is way more deadly if you carry it to the final 6. Like if they're allowed to do the shot in the dark at a place where you are probably going to get a vote against you, I feel like it could really save your game at that point. So does the game then become try to get people to play their shot in the dark as early as possible? Do you think we're going to see that where people lie to other people in order to get them to use their shot in the dark and then lose their vote?
That's what I would do personally. I'd be trying to make people waste their potential advantages to start off with, so then I could have the reward from it. But your vote early on is worth so much more because I've always said pre-merge builds up your merge and it builds up your potential like winning like route. If you have a horrible pre-merge, I highly doubt you're going to make it further in the game at merge. So using your votes as they are makes more sense in the pre-merge for me. But everyone has opinions. So yeah.
For sure. I don't know. Like, I feel like I'd want to hold on to that dice as long as possible because I feel like as long as you have that dice, you have something over other people. But then again, is that dice a target? Like, do you become? Yeah. Like, do you want to just get rid of it? And does that make your chance of winning better because you don't have the dice? I know that sounds like so like reverse like logic, but I feel like Survivor sometimes is a game of making your target smaller than it already is. So do you find a round where they don't need your vote, like this round? If a majority is voting this way, do you just waste your shot in the dark and be like, oops, I'm a bad player? And it's not at jury. It's not when people are kind of analyzing your game, but then you don't become a potential reason to maybe be a target to Josh if Josh is in the game and wants to get rid of you or get rid of your advantage.
I mean, the best time to make mistakes is in the pre-merge, right? Like,
But how do we like? Do people view it as an advantage when you have the dice when it's like 17% to get safe? Like I wouldn't see like that's like you wouldn't 100% get it. So like I wouldn't see it as like sort of a like added advantage if you still have it in the post merge.
But that's still the question I have because then the next round is it a 20% chance, and then the round after that is it a 25% chance?
It's always gonna be 17%. Even if it's like post like merged, if they have 12 people there, they're gonna I mean then that's 12, I don't know. They're gonna put 12 parchment in there and 2 safe. So it's always 17%.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so they're going to keep 17%.
Yeah, every single trouble is gonna be 17%.
Okay.
Why that number?
Yeah.
It's I think it's just
5, like 20% makes more sense. Why 17?
20% is a bit I don't know. I feel like 17% has more. I think it's a do with the dice, like 6 sides.
this is too much maths for me.
Why not just roll the dice instead of picking up a parchment? So
it's
to me,
an
it makes me
audio.
believe something's on a parchment.
It's an audio issue. I think I don't know, but they have to throw it or something.
It's confusing. It actually is confusing.
Dustin's coming here with the maths.
That makes no sense, Dustin.
Yeah, I don't know.
That'd be like, would that be 7 parchments?
I think so. So one less opportunity to possibly get it, Dustin. You are brutal out there. We get to the immunity challenge. Let's rush there. And I don't know if there's much to say, except I focused a lot on Tiffany falling off a lot and Jeannie being very winded.
Nobody helped Jeannie up. Everyone else was helping everyone else up their ladders, but everyone's just like, should be right. It was really rude. I'm like, help her. Like, she had to swim that whole way, you know. I don't understand that though. Why was that a thing? Why was it they have to swim to the end to unlock the key down the bottom? Why couldn't the first person through the course go and unlock it? Or have 3 keys unlocked? You know, have like another element to it. Like, doesn't take much to add, but yeah, I just don't understand why they're like, you can bypass everything and swim and get the key. Like, why was that?
Honestly, I didn't even notice that was a thing.
Yeah,
I just like saw them jumping into like the water and flying over stuff, and I was like, this looks like so much fun.
What? So do they have? So they don't have to necessarily go get the key in the first run.
No, I think they had to. I think it was like part of the rule or something.
Oh, okay.
I just don't understand it. I'm just like, have 3 people do the same thing, and then have 2 people do the puzzle. Like, instead of having like, to me, it makes no sense.
It was
and
a
they have
little
3 keys, so they can have to use them on different locks, and then you know,
Literally
you keep the wrong
don't
one,
even remember a key.
I just remember Sydney like not having to close her eyes underwater, and I'm always shocked at people that don't close their eyes underwater. Yeah. I'm always like, how? Like, she's wide eye open, and I'm like, how do you do that? Because I wear contacts. Like,
especially in salt water.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, if it was a chlorinated pool or something, I'd be fine. I'm like, I can do that. But in salt water, like your eyes would burn, wouldn't they? I've never done it personally.
Maybe you can like get used to it. Like maybe people who swim, like they get used to it. Don't know.
True. Speaking of Yasa, Dustin says Liana was amazing at the challenge, but I think Jeff Probst would disagree because he said, Yasa, you've been bad all season.
I love how he said that all season. Was like it's been like one episode.
I was like, that is such hyperbole, Probst. Like, that is so extra right now. This is their like third challenge. Yes, they couldn't find the ore in the first episode, but I gotta say, we didn't talk about it in episode 1. We kind of glossed over it because there was a lot to talk about. Their ore was yellow. It was in a haystack.
Yeah.
Like,
It was actually harder to see.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because everyone else had like
Feel
blinding
bad for
colors
them.
that you could see from a distance, but yellow it mixes in with everything. So they had like a sort of disadvantage going into that.
Which is usually for the green tribe when they're looking for things in the woods. Usually the green tribe, like if I'm ever playing an LRG and I get the green tribe, I'm like, shit. Because it's always going to be in the woods around green shit. And you can't find the puzzle piece that you needed to find.
That was
So-
us with Galata.
Oh,
We were both on Galata, and that was a great try.
oh,
I must say though, season 3 of Melbourne Survivor, the buffs are very standout,
Yes.
and the
Oh,
colors are
no
very
green.
popping. No green. So yeah,
some
so
hot,
you'll be able to see
hot
stuff.
pink and hunter orange.
I really want to do hot pink one season.
Can I mention? I don't know why Yase put Tiffany on the physical part, because I feel like the puzzle part can be like one good one and sort of one sort of tag along. Doesn't have to be two good people in the puzzles. So
Matt.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
totally, Matt. Like 100%.
Yeah.
Like the entire episode was like Tiffany
Yeah,
is getting voted out. I mean, even think about this. We saw Suri in what season was it? Where Suri couldn't get
Game
across.
changers?
name change it. Yeah.
You're right. And they literally ended the challenge and was like, Suri, we're gonna wait for you to get across this. Suri gets hero music, even though they're clearly the losers. And
Yeah.
I felt like we should have got a little bit more of that for Tiffany, even though she was squaddling across the.
Hey, we got the slow motion, all right?
That's,
I swear it wasn't slow motion. I swear
It
it's
is.
just
If you,
really,
It was.
really slow.
Josh,
is
you can
the-
watch it back tonight.
I will watch it back, but I swear it's not slow motion.
I have to watch it back too because that's the funniest position to even want to slow motion a person in. Like
It was like show a struggle, like
Like the last piece of the puzzle going in, or
yeah.
that's where they should use slow motion, not
I mean, they should just
Grinding
not use slow
balance
motion,
beam.
to be honest. Keep that to South African Survivor, like.
Mm.
Yes.
I do agree.
I want to know. I want to know if like she wanted to do that. Like if she had did she like refuse to do the puzzle? Is that why she was there? Like I want to someone was to blame there.
Man, I don't think she's throwing it. I don't think she.
No,
you
I
can
don't
tell
think
when
she's throwing it.
I mean,
Not in her position.
clearly after when we see the aftermath at Yasa, which is Tiffany's. I mean, you're right, Liz. She couldn't have known everything, but it was a mess.
Mm.
That whole time. So she gets back. So Yasa loses. Luvu, of course, wins first place. And I have a feeling this is going to happen again and again until they swap. Especially having Danny on their tribe. I just feel like he is going to keep getting them the win constantly, especially if they're physical challenges. We have such a crazy mess. Well, first off, they had a twist then that Luvu got to choose who goes to the summit. And I didn't write this down actually. And I was like, Dustin, they can break the season So they were allowed to choose one person from the losing tribe and then one person from either their tribe or the other winning tribe. Did they make the right choice, Josh?
I disagree with the winning tribe choosing who goes. Now, my only reason is because they can choose like a weak person, like they could choose a strong person from the other tribe that they could send away, and then they, the people at that camp could eventually just be like, oh, he's not here, let's vote for him, for example, and then they could, steamroll the challenges even more and make more of like a force between the tribes and stuff like that. But then also when you look at it, when they're going to merge, when they're constantly winning these challenges, they've got a lot more connections from a smaller tribe as well. So it's only gonna create a pagonging if the winning tribe gets to choose. Now, but I'm getting to the but. I actually am getting to the but. Right. But yeah, it does create a lot of like disharmony between like the major tribe too. Is that the but you're talking about, Liz? Like
no.
Okay.
No.
All right.
No.
All right. I have an idea to fix it, but we'll go with your but and then I'll fix it.
Well, it's just that like I don't think that like the go-to strategy here is to like send a strong person to because I don't think I think they want to cause chaos in the other tribe, right? And a strong person's unlikely to be voted out, so they want to send someone who might be voted out, so that there's chaos and stuff. But I think that chaos is what forms really tight alliance bonds that go way further. If you get through a tribal where crazy stuff is happening, you solidified more, you built that trust, whereas this winning tribe has not built that trust yet.
But sending a weak person, right, considered weak, they're more than likely the person who's going to be voted out anyway, right? So you're just guaranteeing them sort of being voted out.
Not really.
So, not really, but you sort of it's more of a chance of them being voted out if they're no longer there at camp.
Honestly, statistically, I don't even know if that's true anymore with the US Survivor. It's definitely true with Australia.
If this happened in Australian Survivor, we for sure know that person's going home.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know. It's hard to say. There's so many pros and cons with it. I personally think the losing tribe should choose, because it allows more of dynamics potentially going ahead in the future. With other tribes and stuff like that as well, it actually adds more dynamic, I think personally, but that's how I would fix it.
But the tribe that wins should have that edge over the other tribe that didn't lose. You know what I mean? With the three tribes.
Yeah, I think it should be like Immunity Island, to be honest, where you just take someone away, and then they're not a tribal. That way you could take the weak person so strong people get voted out.
No, I don't. Nah. It's why are we rewarding weak? Why do we I mean, it's in the sense why are we rewarding this specific type of person? You know what you're saying? You're not creating an equal opportunity people to go there to be safe. You're creating just this twist just to save weak people or presume weak people to be safe.
Yeah,
on behalf of weak people, it's not that bad. Or I'm already disadvantaged, so
that's the thing. I think weak people are always perceived as weak, right? So then they've always got this downfall upon them. If you cast a mother's club and then you cast a life-saving surf club or whatever, of course the life-saving surf club will probably outperform the mother's club, but it's with social. I understand that the mother's club might win in the social game aspect, but when it comes to challenges and pre-merge, that mother's club is going to get decimated and constantly over and over and over again, and they're eventually going to dwindle down to nothing. So that's why I prefer things that help people that are automatically physically have no chance against others.
But then you're creating like you sort of value certain perspective narrative because everyone brings something different in the game. So why are you punishing people, that you presume is weak? I mean, presume is like strong to favor the weak, and then because different part of the game, like post merge, the mom's cup gonna get, gonna be
I think
in a
the
better
issue is
position than this physical one. Are you gonna flip the script, protecting the strong ones? So if
You've
you're
gotta
not doing
cast-
it, you're not equal. It's not
you've got
equal.
to cast people who aren't all just for strong.
So
And,
you're
like, you've got
basically
to cast
saying
people
the
that aren't
casting.
like bodybuilders. You've got to cast. Yeah, but then you're like, it's sort of like, then you get in the wrong demographic, and then it has a lot of other questions. There's no way you can really fix it. But yeah, this is a long conversation that could go on for ages.
It probably will for the entire season. I'm thinking if it keeps going this way. With that logic, I'm surprised they didn't pick Tiffany. I was really surprised that Evie was picked. I think Evie comes across to me as, she was saying, I don't want people to know I'm an evolutionary biologist because that's a threat. And I was like, how is that a threat? I don't even know what that is.
I would consider that a threat because I don't know what it is.
Okay, that's what I think too, Liz. I think Evie is really, really socially smart, and I don't think I've grasped it totally.
Yeah.
Matt's got a really interesting point. Imagine if Deshawn found the Beware advantage and plants it for someone else to find, so they lose their vote.
That would be cool.
But why Deshawn? Oh, you mean like when he returns to the thing and
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Because he knows
He
about
can
it
do
now. So, Matt, yeah, because he's going to actively look for it. I really hope Deshawn just keeps his mouth shut. This has been a season of everybody talking. Does Deshawn have the capability to not tell Danny or Sydney?
I don't know, mate.
No, Deshawn is definitely. We're going to see the first part of the next episode will be Deshawn talking to his Luvu friends and saying everything that happens with idols and who's got idols. I think he's going to tell a lot of people, personally. But then he's only going to build trust from doing that. Because you can't create all of that up. Like, that's the truth. And like giving them the truth, they'll be like, cool, no worries. We know exactly what happened and I believe what you're saying. There is no way you can make up the butterfly saying and all that stuff and how the idols work and stuff like that.
To be honest, if I'm Deshawn, why would I give it to someone when I can just hold it and not open it until like I keep hearing people saying the phrases, and until I'm sure the true type already said it, I can open it.
No, apparently you have to leave it or you have to take it. That's what it said on
Okay.
Yeah, on Xander's one. He said, if you take this, it's yours. If you leave it, it's not yours. So it's got to stay in the same spot.
You have to do what it says, yeah.
Yeah,
but can I take it and give it to someone, or is that you have to leave it?
As you taking it, you've taken it.
But if you know where it is,
you can go up and be like, oh, look,
can
there's an
leave
advantage in
someone
there.
to
It says
do
beware.
it.
I don't want it. Do you want it? And then they could get it. But like Xander didn't know what was in it. And to be honest, I would probably open it too because I was very intrigued. Right. So I think everyone has like.
Let's be honest. We probably all would have opened it.
I would get someone else to open it.
It's like a big red button. Like if there's a big red button that says do not push and you have no idea what it does, everyone will probably go ahead and push it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But to be honest, you would know all the information. So you're actually not I mean, it depends if you're in a good relationship or not. But if you're in a good sort of position, this helps you because you know what's going on in the game instead of not knowing anything.
I think knowing all of the information in the game is the biggest key to getting further. Like, if you know, we literally cannot. But like, that's the truth. You should see the season, the Melbourne Survivor. Like,
You should see the planning chat, like the production chat. You should see our meetings.
It can last like 2 hours because we're just arguing. like
literally get nothing done. Like, it'll be arguing over nothing.
This literally sounds like every LRG team I know. So you guys are doing it right.
Good to know. Good to know.
Strong opinions. That's where it all stems from that. You know, I liked during the sequence, we got the B-roll footage of Deshaun as a doctor, or he kind of talked a little bit about that. And I think it really humanized Deshaun. And again, it's bringing us back to the heart and soul of Survivor. This is how it started. We saw this in the very original season, and then they kind of lost it after a few. And then Australian Survivor brought it back. And, well, okay, but we get more character at least. Like we just don't get, we haven't gotten it for years, I feel like, in American Survivor. And this season, I hope they continue. I hope everybody gets a package, is my hope.
I think we'll find that everyone will get a package. Like, even in Australian Survivor, everyone got a package. Even though they did. They actually did.
I don't think.
No, they did.
Think
so. I didn't even watch the season. I know they did.
They did. I've checked it. They all got packages, and it took up until like week 6 or something for everyone to get packages.
Really?
Yeah,
no,
the last one.
Simon didn't get one.
Oh,
Yes, he did.
No, he didn't get it. They posted it, but they didn't include in the actual edit.
Was it
But
like
he
a
had-
secret scene
Surely
or
Simon
something?
got one with all his confessionals.
No, because he posted on his Instagram. Sorry, I'm just.
Right. Okay.
Wow. But do you think like it's really different the Aussie ones than compared to US one? Because I think Aussie one's more related to the job, like what they do, and sort of relate back to the game. Whereas the US
It's very
one's more
like
family story.
toxic
I know
positivity, success.
That's true. It's like, this is what I do. This is why it will help. Where American Survivor's like, what happened in your life that gave you trauma?
yeah, which is so much better.
I think life experiences has more than like job experiences, especially in Survivor.
Sure.
Like, you know, I work in retail sales. Like, that hasn't really got much to do with, I guess, just building friendships and like trust and stuff. But I think as a life type of like social experiment, like you do so much better just with like who you are as a person, I think.
Yeah, like I'm a cleaner. Like,
Yeah.
I feel, no, Liz, that's super important because I feel like when I make a mess, because I'm a messy player, you can help me clean it up.
no, but you don't understand. I'm super messy as well. Like I'm not the kind of person who should be a cleaner, but it just happened.
Maybe in your confession you can mention like I'm always the one who cleaned the mess or something.
As a cleaner, I'm the one who will clean up this mess.
Even my own. I'll clean up any mess out there. So, of course, Yasa goes to tribal council, and they blindsided me. They took a trick of editing from South Africa, and they did not let us in on exactly what's happening, or they gave us clues. I feel like in a rewatch.
Yeah.
But here's the thing I noticed: Jeff Probst's voice was going in and out. And Rob Cesternino tweeted like something about like what's going on with his voice, but I feel like I understand because I'm dealing here in the States. It's allergy season right now, so I am suffering. So I think
it's allergy season here as well.
Oh well, tis the season to be miserable. I felt like Jeff Probst was dealing with allergies this whole episode. His voice did seem a little raw.
What was that thing with him talking about who will go home at tribal council tonight?
Yeah, what was that?
This is his new thing, right? Oh, we didn't even talk about game within the game. They were like, Jeff Probst is going to give us secrets. And all I wrote was Jeff's pre-tribal hints. I put ... and then I wrote no notes. Because he didn't give us anything.
It's just,
it's
oh no.
I think it's a bit stupid because it doesn't add anything to it. So I was like, why are we wasting 2 seconds on it?
Well, I guess it's like engagement, right? It's like fourth wall stuff, but nah, it sucks.
I swear to goodness, Jeff watched a live stream of a live game where we do that constantly. And I feel like he's like, oh, that's me. I can do that. And no. When it's edited, you can't, Jeff. It doesn't work. It's like, I once read in an interview that Jeff Probst doesn't care what happens at camp. He wants to know 2 things. When his producers come to him, he wants to know whose names are on the block and who has an advantage. And that's all he wants to know prior to going into tribal. And I felt like that's all he told us in the pre-tribal. It's like, who's going to go home? The strong or the weak? We'll see. Okay.
And to be honest, the strong all the week really didn't go home. It was sort of a guy in between.
Well, I guess that's what it added, right? It was a good misdirect.
Mm.
That's true. So we got there, Jeff. We if it was a misdirect, good job. You fooled us. But we see Vochi go home, and I mean, I gotta say, in retrospect, it kind of makes sense, knowing that Xander probably is not going to have a vote next round.
Mm. Yeah, but do you take that risk? Because Xander could have went home with that advantage and the potential idol in his pocket. So then it's like it could be back out there for play for somebody else to have. It could also mean that he could, who knows, the other two tribes might find it next tribal, before next tribal, and then he's got an idol. And then it becomes more of a risky operation where you could take him out when you know he hasn't got the idol because the other two lines haven't been said. And
here's the thing, though, it's good for Evie because, Evie brought up in a confessional, Xander trusts her, right? So, from her perspective, it's good. Maybe it's not good for the other two in the alliance, but it's good for her.
Yeah, basically, she's the number one alliance with Xander, so she's going to benefit the most if Xander has the advantage. And if Xander doesn't have to vote at next tribal, she can easily, vote him out. And she's in a tight two with Liana too. I feel like Liana and Evie is tight two. Xander and Evie is a tight two, so she's in power position.
It is great for Liana because if Tiffany does go, Evie has two options: to stay with two more people or to stay with just Liana. So that actually works out a lot better for Liana too, I think.
True.
So it works out best for them too, because Tiffany and Xander will be going after each other.
And it also makes sense to Tiffany is such an easy target next tribal as well, I guess. So maybe they thought about it because Tiffany's you can always vote Tiff out.
Yeah.
There's always going to be reason to vote Tiff out if she continues to perform at the same level. I was super surprised too. I felt a little bit like you, Josh, Liana could be potentially in a really good situation, even though they didn't totally edit it that way. I felt like even though she had a lot of reactions in this episode, I mean, she's dropped the F-bomb twice in her surprise, once at the beginning, once after she found out about the advantage. But I feel like even though she's a little bit more over the top in her personality than Evie, I still feel like if Evie gets pegged as being the smart player, which is exactly what they told us at the start, I feel like I'm worried about that. They told us that confessional for a reason. I don't know. But then again, American Survivor is usually a little bit more cut and dry. They tell us exactly what's about to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we can tell, Dustin.
Yes, we know.
Can I ask a question? Do we think Tiffany has a good social game, or is she being dragged along as sort of a easy vote for the Girls Alliance? What do we think?
A little bit of both.
Yeah, she got her way. She wanted Vochi out, and she got her way. So I think there has to be some social acceptance to that, because she really had she didn't have any strength to say what she wanted to do and what she wanted to happen, because she didn't have any other alliance besides the girls. She just was girl strong and that's it. And Evie let that happen. So I think she does have some social play, but at the same time, I do believe them two girls are just taking her for a ride and just using her as a vote at the moment because it makes sense.
Socially, it seemed like her social game was almost what almost got her voted out, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
The first episode, she was great. And the first episode, she saved herself from her social play, I think. And then this episode, she's starting to crumble. And I think she's just going to further crumble the further we go down. Who knows? She could become a challenge beast. And we probably not.
Tiffany is the next Chappies.
Yeah.
Mike Bloom posted that a picture of Tiffany next to Santony and was like, "Is Tiffany the next Santony?" And I have to disagree.
Yeah.
I have to painfully disagree with you, Mike Bloom. Even though there might be some similar awkwardness in their social game, I mean, if Tiffany was Santony, she would have found the beware advantage, would have taken it, would have then gone to the challenge and then just told the other two teams what their passwords were and said, "Why don't you just say this out loud?" And then activated her own idol, and then Santony would laugh her way to tribal council.
Oh, actually, Kirk, can they do that? I wonder if they can do that. Be like, hey, all three to say this, and then
Like, can you convince a person to say your broccoli is whatever your broccoli tree is raw? I don't know. Just
It'd be
say this.
interesting.
Trust me, it will be good for both of us.
I don't think anybody will ever replace Santony. Like, I don't think you'll ever get.
Yeah.
Like, she is 1 in a million. You'll never replace her. You know, you replace like people like Chappies with like Aussie, and you know, you like Challenge Beast. You know, but you'll never replace Santony. I don't think as a character that will ever happen again. And yeah, that's why I love that season so much. But yeah.
But same, we just came off a high 2 weeks ago from living that season for like 13 weeks.
Yeah. I'm happy with this season though. Like I can't say much bad about this season. I'm not happy with a couple of twists, but
so
I can't believe I would say that.
What are your favorite twists so far, and what twists do you think you could throw away and live without?
Honestly, the ones that I don't understand can like go away. The dice situation, I don't know. But like also like any twist I don't really care about. Like I would rather see it without a twist, I feel like. But having said that, this one that showed up in this episode was kind of cool. So
I always love like an advantage-disadvantage situation.
Yeah.
I love it. Like, you don't know what you're getting. It could be a disadvantage. It could help you out. But I always love like the moral dilemma sort of like moment of like, do I pick it up? Is it bad? Like, you know, is it going to kill me in this game? Is it going to keep me in this game? I love twists like that. And I love players' thought process of trying to work out if it's a good idea or not to get. But I do agree. I think the dice should just go. And yeah, the risk your vote, protect your vote, I like.
Yeah.
As like a once-off though, not as a this is the twist of the season.
Yeah.
It's what it seems to be like. We're going to get to merge, and there's going to be like 15 extra votes or something. And there's going to be like 33 votes played at the first merge tribal council, and it's going to be a vote of like 7. It's going to be like a vote of like 17 to 12. And like, we're going to be like, what is this? And
can I ask, do they have to announce it, like when Jeff say like if anyone has an advantage or idol? Is that when they play the extra vote, or they can play it when they go to vote?
So yeah, that's something I'm not too sure of. But all extra votes have just been played in the voting area. They actually haven't been announced.
I think they did, isn't it? Like Dan, I mean, back in season 30, is Dan has to announce that he's voting.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
that was the first one, wasn't it?
Yeah, the first one.
But I think after that they haven't been announced. I think
they do. Sarah did the. I mean, is it steal a vote or something? I can't remember, but
yeah, but steal a vote's different. You're stealing somebody's
vote.
vote
Because then the person can't vote, so they can't go up.
So that's different.
Who has an extra vote the last few seasons? I can't even remember.
Didn't Stephen Fishback?
He has
he had steal a vote. Yeah.
Steal a vote.
Yeah, that's right.
Anyway.
Yeah. That's a good question.
I want to play these 5 steal votes as tribal, please. Thank you.
Yeah, because could Xander, like, while Xander has no votes and he's not a target, could he just acquire more votes? The other thing I thought too was that note said return to your seat. He had an extra vote. So was there no opportunity for him to use that extra vote?
I think that's when the advantage, like when Jeff announced it, then you have to say like, "Oh, I have extra vote. I want to vote now." I think that's how it goes.
Okay.
Oh, so they give an extra vote out before they. So they all sit down and grabs the urn, and then he has to put an extra vote in the urn.
I think so. I think because you have to announce you have something, right? I don't know. Maybe I don't know the direction this is going, but we have a clear answer later on, I guess.
I'm assuming, yeah. Once extra votes happen, we'll find out. But
So
many hypotheticals.
So many hypotheticals, and they left us wondering what is going to happen in the next episode. Before we end today, I want to recap you guys on the draft that Jillian and Lance and I did last week. I am the big loser so far. My tribe is left at 4 people. Jillian is still rocking it out with a full tribe of 6 right now. So you go, Jillian. You know how to pick them.
Oh wow, Jillian's got Chantel and Evie.
Yeah.
I know. And JD.
Yeah, Kirk, you haven't got this. I'm sorry.
Okay, I have Liana. I got Deshawn has information. Jeannie has apparently 0 target on her back, and Sydney farts a lot. So there's something.
You've also got really young people.
I know.
They're all like 26, 20. Oh, Jeannie's 46. Okay.
Okay, so in honor of you guys and Melbourne Survivor and covering South Africa, there's only one way we can end this week's episode. Vince, you know exactly what this is. We're gonna kiss, marry, and kill the cast right now. And Liz, Vince, can you describe what this is to the people at home that maybe haven't seen this and don't know what we're talking about?
So these ideas come from Liz back at Survivor season. So one of the Sam, she's a jury. She asked a question to the final 3. She said basically, we want to play Kiss, Marry, Kill, and then we sort of adopted to our recap for South Africa. So Kiss is someone who did well in this episode. Marry is someone you think is going to do well in the future episodes or like win a pick, and Kill is someone that did horrible in this episode.
I love you brought it home to a LRG too. That's just awesome. It's so cool. So Liz, we're gonna start with you. Who do you want to kiss?
So what's the difference between kiss and marry again?
So kiss is somebody who did well for you in this particular episode, and marry is going to be somebody else that you think is going to have a better trajectory down the line.
Okay,
it could be a winner pick.
Yeah, all right.
Okay.
Well, winner vibes from Evie, but I'm going to say kiss because she did super well in this episode. And I didn't get those winner vibes in the first episode. Gonna have to kill Brad here. Yeah, but I love him. He's great. I hope he sticks around because he's good fun. Yeah, and Mary. You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna say Chantel. Yeah, she's got good vibes. She's in a good position.
Okay, so you're gonna kiss Evie, marry Shan, and kill Brad.
Yeah.
Okay, right on. Okay, Josh, who do you want to kiss, marry, and kill?
Well, it sounds strange, but I think you're sort of this episode kissing Tiffany. I know people are going to be like, "What?" But the fact that she suffered so bad in that challenge and was still able to get through and still able to not be voted out from being horrible in the challenge and forcing him to be there, you've got to give credit to her social game, regardless of if she's been dragged as a goat or whatever. Social game can still mean you could be a goat, and you could still just be carried to the end. So, weirdly enough, I'll give her my kiss. Mary, you sort of have to give it to Evie, because she's on both sides of the alliances. She's created an alliance with Deshawn. She's unstoppable at this point. So, have to marry Evie. And kill, the only person that makes sense to kill this episode is Brad. He's like, I'm gonna go run and go spy on people, and spies on people, and comes back and tells them, and then Santal is telling everyone what happened, and he's just in a really horrible spot.
I like that the word "tell" is in Chantel's name. Like,
Yeah,
Chantel.
I'm gonna tell everyone. Yeah.
Vince, from this episode, who would you like to kiss, marry, and kill?
I'm gonna go a different route. So for Kiss, I'm gonna go for Xander because even though it's a sort of disadvantage at the moment, but he did pick up and he sort of, it's an advantage later on. So he's kind of safe on this episode as well. So
Also, he's really hot.
yeah, that too. That he's hot, he got advantage, he got extrovert, he has all the information right now, although he did share it, but I guess you have to in this scenario. So kiss for Xander. Mary, I'll go for Nasir because that making fire, and then people will be like, he was in the bottom last episode, but people are now like, yes, we like him, he's gonna go far. So Mary, Nasir, and kill. Let's just follow the crowd, and then I'll just go Brad as well.
Poor Brad. This was not your episode, Bradley. I don't know what is this?
Oh,
I'm surprised we
Yeah.
didn't get to see more of Heather this episode. Stifler's mum. She
Yes. Okay. So true. That's so true. Who? Heather? Who? Where?
Yeah, Heather.
Who?
We
Did
didn't
she
get to see
pick
her at
ne-
all.
She's gonna pick next episode. We're gonna cry.
yes. I'm ready.
This is gonna be her B-roll footage. It's gonna be the tearjerker. Okay, for me, I think I'm petty. Okay, so I'm gonna kiss. Oh gosh, I don't know. I'm gonna kiss Liana because I do feel like there was some good gameplay there. Not perfect, but somebody that I could admire. That you kept your name off the block and you got through it. So congrats to you. I think, oh gosh, Mary off this episode. Like I want to pick. Who else picked Chantel? Did anybody pick Chantel to marry?
Me. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I have to go with Chantel still, even though we didn't see as much as we saw first episode. I'm gonna go with a Mary to Chantel still. And then for kill, I'm gonna be evil. I'm gonna go with a purple edit for this episode, and I'm not gonna pick you, Heather. Because I guess that the reason you're purple edited this episode is there just wasn't much from you. I know you're on the blue tribe. I know you keep winning, but Erica, I need some more. I don't know you yet. So Erica, I can do without as of right now.
Erica's
Literally
right.
scanning this, being like, who is Erica? I see her. Yeah.
She's there in the middle. somewhere.
Yeah.
I loved her on the first episode. She was like one of the people I walked out of the first episode. I'm like, I want her to win. Like, in love.
Did she get a package? Did she get a B-roll footage in the first episode? I can't remember.
I don't remember. But maybe.
But she has confessionals, but I don't remember.
Yeah.
If she has big
Yeah.
I feel like that's still coming for Erica. Like they're saving it either for her boot episode, which might be soon, or they're going to set us up for a longer storyline coming down the line. So
I can't see her going anytime soon. Like, in her alliances there, like Nasir's still on the outs, but then you've got Heather as well.
Yeah.
That could also be a potential vote out. So she's got a long time in this game still. She's in a really good spot.
So true. She's definitely not going to be killed anytime soon. So my predictions, as they don't come true, as you can look at my predictions right down next to my name. Probably those four will probably not win this game, unfortunately.
You've got Liana. You've got a good chance, I think.
I'm all in.
Yeah, you're fine.
You're
Well,
fine.
before we go, is there anything you guys can give us about a future Melbourne Survivor? Or Survivor Melbourne? Which is it? Melbourne Survivor or Survivor Melbourne?
Melbourne Survivor, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, well, we had our third season and it was pretty epic and great, but everyone needs to stop asking us when it's coming out. Because one of our editors, Tara, has just decided to play dead and avoid everyone for like 3 weeks because people keep asking her that.
That sounds like most editors for the LRG community, that once the shows are ready to go, they go hide in a cave and they hibernate away, and then they make their magic happen in solitude.
Yeah.
Mm.
And then they emerge come spring, and we have lots of fun things to watch. But what happens in the cave, we do not know.
Yeah.
You don't want to know, honestly. You don't want to know.
It's pretty much like lockdown.
Yeah, it is.
This was a blast, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. And if you haven't already subscribed to Melbourne Survivor, you need to head out to our Facebook pages, our viewer fan pages, the YouTube page, and follow these guys. Honestly, if I had the money to fly out there, well, first I'd have to get auditioned and get cast, but it's literally a dream of mine is to like go to South Africa and play. They have a big LRG that's out there too, and Australia. Those are literally on my bucket list. Like someday I want to meet these people in real life. So check it out. You're going to see some great gameplay, and you're going to see Survivor. It's the same game, but culturally, it gives you a breath of fresh air. It is so fun to watch. So check it out for sure. And then always check us out and like and subscribe to us on YouTube and Facebook at Live Reality Games. We're here and we are your biggest fans. We'll talk to you soon. Bye, guys.
Bye.